Hello there and welcome back to another review. Today we're going to be having a look at the classic, well, the groundbreaking, if you will, Zoo Warriors from the Magic Mountain, released here from Eureka Classics. Tsui Hark's Hong Kong supernatural, fantasy, special effects, extravaganza, whatever you want to call it, a real balls to the wall film, a real landmark in Hong Kong movie making. It's one of these films that if you are new to the world of Hong Kong movies, if you are venturing out from, like, say, the Jackie Chans and you're getting into the whole realm of Hong Kong movies and some of the classics, Zoo has got to be on your list of films to watch. It's not gonna, you may not make a lot of sense to you, the movie, but it's a film that it's a very, very important one. It's a very pivotal one, not just in Tsui Hark's career, but in terms of, like I say, Hong Kong cinema and just what the film did. And it really is, I say, there's everything in this movie. Everything is just in there. Made in 1983, another great cast with this film with the likes of Yuen Biao, Sammo, Brigitte, Damian, Adam Cheng, Mang, to name a few. And the idea with Zoo was to just bring that Hollywood special effects, that, you know, the Hollywood big budget effects to a Hong Kong movie. This is what the main selling point of Zoo was. This was what the whole idea behind it was to try and do. Into the realm of Hong Kong movie making, the film should just be admired for that spectacle alone. Like Zoo Warriors, just for that idea of big budget special effects movie, like the whole idea, Tsui Hark took it upon himself to say, right, we're as a country, as a film industry, we are more than just kung fu movies, right? There's still some kung fu in this movie, but I want to give the audience the Hong Kong version of a big budget special effects extravaganza, and that's why you can't. Tsui Hark is often hailed as sort of the Steven Spielberg of the Hong Kong movie world, because he was brazen enough to give it a go, and to have confidence in it as well is another thing. But Tsui Hark really should be applauded for his, like I say, his confidence and, like I say, his balls to just give this film a go. I mean, the film is crazy, bonkers, and it goes along at a lightning pace. And I remember the first time I saw it thinking, what the hell am I watching? Like, what the hell is this film? Like, the first time, when I watched it when I was quite young, I loved it, made no sense to me whatsoever. But if I go through the film today, hopefully if I review it and go through the plot a little bit, those of you who have seen this film and you don't understand it at all, hopefully if I go through it today, it might make a bit of sense, a bit of clarity. It's not that complicated, but the film moves at such a lightning pace that sometimes it is a bit hard to keep up with what's going on. I mean, we get kung fu, special effects, monsters, magic, and everything else just thrown in here. Again, with like Project A made the same year, this really was the beginning of the new wave of filmmakers that were breaking away from what had been done before. In Hong Kong, people like Tsui Hark, Jackie Chan, Sammo, and of course people like John Woo, Ringo Lam later on, that period in the 80s. The output from Hong Kong and just how experimental and how original everything was nothing short of mind-blowing. Hong Kong cinema in the 80s was just absolutely, it was unchained, basically. They were doing classic film after classic film after more inventive film after more inventive film, and that golden era, which I always put down between, I'm sure it has got an exact time period, but I always put it sort of from Project A, Zoo onwards, that period, sort of 83 maybe to 89, that sort of era. Just I'd say just how mind-blowing everything. Of course, there's been noted many times, John Carpenter cites this film as a big, huge influence on the Kurt Russell vehicle, Big Trouble in Little China. I mean, you have to give full credit to Tsui Hark here, as I say, for not only have the balls, but just the talent as well to direct something as much, as a spectacle as this. When the film starts, it's very easy to get, even when it starts, to get, okay, what the hell is going on, right? Even in that initial opening, the film moves along, like I say, it's so quick, this film, it just keeps, every scene you cannot get invested in, because with 2 seconds later there's another scene thrown at you, there's another summit happening. But the only thing you have to remember with this music is that it's just good versus evil. That's all you need to remember from this film. If you take away all the flying, like the wire work, the explosion, the rapid quick fire editing, this is not the kind of film you would watch if you have taken any hallucinogenics or anything like that. I would say that you might actually have an amazing time if you've taken some hallucinogenics watching this movie, or maybe you do, I don't know. I'm sure it'd be one hell of a trip, as the film is frantic beyond belief, and that's what makes Zoo so exceptional. Obviously, films like Star Wars was a big reason for Tsui Hark having to go, thinking he'd only make, I think he'd only done about 4 films at this stage, Tsui Hark. So again, you have to admire the guy for just giving this a go. Though doing okayish locally, it was overseas that Zoo, I think, did really well, and in many ways a lot of people's gateway into the weird and wonderful, amazing world of Hong Kong filmmaking. Also, if you don't know what is, like I mentioned, if you don't know what is going on, if you don't know what's going on in this movie, don't worry too much. Please do not worry. That is not the point of what Zoo is. It's more, above all that, it's basically just to enjoy Zoo for what it is and what it represents. The rapid editing, if I can talk, the amazing world that it embraces you in. The monsters, the special effects, Yuen Biao, Sammo Hung, Moon Lee, and you will have a great time with Zoo. Just take it at face value. Do not read too much into it. Do not sit there worried that you're not sure what's going on. Just enjoy Zoo for what it is. And like I say, the film, the spectacle that it is. And if worth noting, well, the film has 2 versions to it. It's also a version called Zoo Time Warrior, produced for European theatres, where Yuen Biao is like a college student and transported sort of Wizard of Oz style to the 10th century China. Like, it's got a whole different opening, a whole different premise to it as well. But I'm going to be looking at the Hong Kong cut of the film today. I can review the other version, but it's really sort of the only opening, by and large, that is the only different thing. So the film opens panning over this nice miniature of mountains and trees, which does work. All this heroic swordsman of Mount Zoo. We meet Yuen Biao as like a scout. We have Dick Wei here as one, like his general. And so Chong Fat and Dick Wei are 2 generals who want to pursue their enemy, but by different means. One by water and one wants to go by land. So Yuen Biao is like this scout, and he's sort of in between these 2 generals. And they both want to go after their enemy in different ways. And because Yuen is confused and doesn't know who to follow, they sort of end up chasing him, because they're like, well, you're not going to obey me, you're not going to obey him. They think he's like sort of a traitor. He's not, he's turned their back on him because you're not followed. Because even if he followed one, the other one would get annoyed. So he was in a no-win situation, basically. They call him a traitor, so he hides in a boat. And he bumps into Sammo Hung, who's working for the Red Army and Yuen for the Blue Army. And whilst hiding, they get ambushed by the Yellow faction. It's funny where they keep on saying like the arrows that are firing them are from their reinforcements, when they clearly aren't. And it's wonderful Sammo Hung popping up here. I remember when I first saw clips of this film, I thought it was like a Sammo Hung Yuen Biao vehicle all the way through. Sammo Hung is in the film sort of relatively all the way through, but he's sort of in the background and as a different character. These 2 sort of bond and get into the middle of a battle, with them sort of helping each other out. And the one scene that did make me laugh out loud back in the day is when they're sort of pretending to fight, because neither of them want to die, and they're sort of pretending with their swords that they're actually fighting to just sort of try and escape the battle, which did make me laugh. And I'd love it as well when when Sammo's pitting yellow against green soldiers against each other, and they both end up chasing him, and it's all good fun. It really is wonderful stuff. So Yuen's character after this takes shelter in the mountains. Great lighting and set design in this movie, especially with the thunder. And as mentioned, the film is almost on like warp speed most of the time. The film is going at lightning speed. It really is. The editing and just the way the film moves along is you don't even catch your breath with this movie. You really do not. The film does not let you take a break at all. So it's just so frantic and kinetic, and I love the creature that attacks Yuen here and the sound effects, which I first remember seeing a clip of. I think it was Best of Martial Arts. I think it was a 1990 documentary that I saw, and I think it was John Saxon who was presenting it or hosted it, and I had it on video. And but I remember seeing a lot of clips from Zoo on that, and I was like, I hadn't seen it at that point, so I must have been about 6-7 years old. And I was like, I've got to see this movie. So after this, Yuen gets saved by Scholar Adam Chung, and Yuen is like, please save mankind. And he's like, because mankind sort of has no hope. They stumble across all these skulls, and that is because of the dark demon cult that is sacrificing all these children. We then meet Damian Lau, who you probably mainly will remember from sort of Duel to the Death. And Mang as monks who have sort of come along to meet Longbrows and need to defeat the blood demon. Does this make any sense? Probably not, but that's to give you an idea of the plot. That's sort of what's going on at this point. But I mean, who cares? Who cares if it makes sense? I'm just going to talk through the plot, and if it makes sense, great. If you've seen this movie, if it doesn't make sense, you're not losing anything at all. But like I mentioned earlier, just enjoy Zoo for what it is. So the wire work in this film is insane when the Guardians of the Demon Cult show up. This is something, of course, that the Hong Kong film industry has always done better than anywhere else in the world. It's just their wire work and the way they shoot it, their editing it. They really were, and probably still are by and large, like better at it than any other film industry in the world. I say insane wire work. We see Fong Ha Kong here as always playing a villain. Like I said, the whole film is basically Tsui Hark saying, you know, all them big budget special effects movies that Hollywood are doing, well, I'm going to do that too. Right, this is what Tsui Hark's basically saying. So the monks blame the scholar that the demons got away, and they all sort of part ways. Yuen calls them all cowards for not helping when the world is in turmoil. And basically there's just the world's in a bad place. There's these different factions. There's demons and things like that in it, and it's all, just take it all with a grain of salt. Yun says the world is in turmoil when they sort of return. At one point they felt like this red big sheet blanket that has like a face on it as well. Damian Lau gets injured. Yuen Biao in this a lot of time is very much on the side and sort of works as the audience's eyes. He is the lead, but he's just as like, it's the whole Wizard of Oz, you know, stepped into this weird world. Yuen Biao very much is sort of the guy who he's sort of going through it with us, although he's sort of embraced in this world already. You go on a sort of a mini sort of journey with Yuen Biao's character. Like I say, a lot of it is new to him too. So then we meet Longbrows, who is also played by Sammo Hung. And I absolutely love how Sammo has dual roles. Bearing in mind this was the same year he was also in Project A. He also done Winners and Sinners. So again, very, very busy guy, Sammo Hung in the 80s. Funny moment when Yuen Biao is like, are you good or bad? And he replies, good of course. Well, you know, would a bad guy wear white? And I love that, like, it's because it's like when Yuen Biao says that, it's almost like acknowledging the confusion that the film is having. It's like, are you good or bad? Because I don't know what's going on, and I'm pretty sure the audience has done it. And he's like, look, I'm good, I'm wearing white, like, of course I'm good. So Damian now is poisoned by the blood demon, and that's like 10 days before he becomes the new vessel for the demon. Longbrows snags the demon's essence with, you guessed it, his eyebrows. Tells Ming, Yuen Biao's character, about these swords that can defeat the demon, that he needs to go to Heaven's Blade Peak. So this whole time, the editing is just so quick fire and rapid, as I keep mentioning, just a sight to behold, it really is. Damian Lau promotes Mang Hoi to chief. So if you're watching this movie and got to this point, all you need to know, if you've got to this point in the movie and you're still confused about what I've just said and what's happening when he promotes sort of Mang Hoi to chief, all you need to know is Damian Lau needs to be healed and they are after these swords. That's all you need to know. They have to get these swords and Damian Lau needs to be healed. That's all you got to take from it. Then we go to Yun chasing some fish and gets electrocuted, which does always make me laugh. Then an evil Adam Chung turns up. Then we go to the Celestial Fort of the Jade Pool in the hope to cure Damian. Have Moon Lee here, as gorgeous and beautiful as ever. Moon Lee, you'll probably remember from, she was in like Jackie Chan's Protector. She was in Mr. Vampire. Wonderful actress. The sets as well in this movie is nothing short of outstanding. We are told of the Fort Mistress played by Brigitte Lin, who may be able to help them. So Ting Ying, Adam's character, Ting Yin, I think it's Ting Yin, if memory serves. Pretty sure it's Ting Yin. Transfers skills to Yun, like Yuen Biao after he is injured. We have Yuen Biao in a nice sort of rubber body suit to give the impression of his muscles like sort of are expanding at one point. He's in like this suit and his muscles are sort of getting bigger and bigger, which is visually quite funny, but it serves the film, it fits in with the film quite well. So Brigitte cures Damian, though she doesn't say much to begin with. Yuen Biao and Mang Hoi sneak into the palace after pulling off Moon Lee's waistband. All this time, Longbrows is still holding the demon's essence. Like Sammo's character, this whole time while this is going on at the fort and the temple, Sammo Hung is still holding this essence with his eyebrows. So Brigitte now speaks to Adam. We have a real mad bonkers sequence where they're sort of fighting and riding these statues. We are led to believe this is she has a bit of a thing for his character as well. That's sort of implied. He gives Yuen Biao one of his swords and makes him his disciple, and Yuen Biao sort of turns into somebody who's now all sort of in a white garb and costume. Now this is the odd bit in the movie. Like they go to the fort, right? They leave. Adam is possessed, and we must go to the Celestial Fort. so they're at the Celestial Fort. They leave. Adam is possessed, and then we must go to the Celestial Fort. So they leave, and within like that, they have to go back. You're like, wasn't you just there? And like 2 scenes ago, that is where you were. And it says, we don't make it in 3 days. I want you to kill me. And suddenly they are back at the fort. Why they had to put that? Like, you literally just left. And he's like, if I don't make it there in 3 days, it's bad. And it's like, the next scene, they're there. So why we had to have that urgency of, I've got to be back there in 3 days? Because they obviously, if they've just left, they haven't gone far. So not sure what the point of them leaving was, to be honest with you. So Xiao Yu, Damian's character, wants her to help Adam, but she has exhausted her chi and can't. Adam, now proper possessed, gets wrapped in this black cover and then blows up. And every time you think he is dead and finished, he just keeps on coming back. Brigitte needs to seal the place in ice and breaks the bronze mirror. Of course, I mean, you've got to break the bronze mirror, right? It goes without saying. I've always said, freeze the place, with some ice, then break the bronze mirror. You've just got to do that in a Celestial Fort. It must be done. So Moon, Yuen and Mang Hoi escape and go to ascend the Heaven's Blade and see Heaven's Blade, who is a guy strapped with chains to this like giant boulder, played by Norman Chu, who like Damian and Lau and him being the 2 main leads in Duel to the Death. So all about good and bad, gods and demons, these people trying to prevent the bad chi from entering our world, which is all it is. It's basically there's just this bad essence, these bad demons, whatever you want to call them, and these people are trying to keep it out. Longbrows is trying to sort of contain this essence of the demons and the bad vibes. So they're just trying to prevent bad chi from entering our world. So then Dark Sith Adam Chung shows up and wants to enter the demon world. Yun can't beat him and gets sucked into the demon world in the process, and Man Hoi sort of goes along in there to save him as well. The purple and green swords appear, and these two have severe major outfit change. They become like masters of the swords, and they learn they can't cross them. Much like when they said that we can't cross the swords, it just reminded me of Ghostbusters, like you can't cross the streams. That's what it took me back to. So Heaven and Earth bond as one, and they go to save Longbrows. Then we have Adam again, who is now like full-blown Sith and is wielding to me what looks like 2 red lightsabers. It does look Star Wars-esque in the way it's shot and what is going on. But as I say, he's become full-blown sort of Sith, wielding these lightsabers. I forgot to mention the small detail that Yuen Biao and Mang Hoi can now fly. So yeah, this has been it's a bit of a crazy bonkers review, but it's a crazy bonkers film, Zoo Warriors. So the demon manifests, the Fort Mistress sacrifices herself, the two unite. The film is like Mang Hoi film like just abruptly ends, and I do believe saw himself as a brief cameo as like a blue army soldier. So like the Fort Mistress, she sort of sacrifices herself. Yuen Biao and Mang Hoi sort of unite, and that is sort of basically the end of the movie. So I've sort of crashed through it a little bit like I do with a lot of some of the movies, but I don't want to keep you too long. I just want to give a bit of insight and just my thoughts on the movie. But Zoo Warriors, it's one of these movies that you have to see if you're interested in Hong Kong cinema, especially if you're interested in like the golden age of Hong Kong cinema. It's one of the films you may not like it. You may not think it's by and large, it has stood the test of time. I mean, like I say, you got to remember this is 83. This is like 40 years ago, give or take now, and I mean that's a testament to the film itself. The fact it still does look so fresh, and it is still so inventive, and it is, there's so much going on with this movie. But at the same time, in terms of narrative and in terms of plot, it's not really that complicated. There's just good and evil, and that is it. And aside from that, just enjoy the wire work, enjoy the special effects, enjoy the cast that are present in this movie. It's not overly too long, but you probably, if you've never seen it, will watch it and be like, what the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? But I think that's part of the appeal of Zoo, where there is no other film like it. It's a wonderful film. I think it inspired quite a lot. I know, like I said earlier, John Carpenter loved this movie. But it's definitely worth checking out. If nothing else, a very different film featuring Yuen Biao and Sammo, and a real testament to Tsui Hark as a filmmaker, director, and just sort of an innovator, really, in terms of movies, and especially Hong Kong movies. So thank you very much indeed for watching. I hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll see you again soon.
Don't concentrate on the finger, or you will miss all that heavenly glory.